This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruschi.
Featuring defense attorney, Hidden Killers daily contributor, and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta.
I wonder in this case about Wendy. I watched them, just to refresh myself today, I watched her testimony again. I watched the testimony of her former boyfriend. And, I mean, it certainly makes you wonder. I mean, at the end of watching that all again, I believe she knew something, but I don't necessarily know that it's anything like another case that we're talking about, Jared Bridegan and her Shanna Gardner Fernandez, where that seemed a very straightforward, we want this hit done type charge. This, to me, I mean, when you look at this mother and when you understand like narcissistic mothers and the power that they sometimes wield and the nth degree that they will go to get what they want, it really makes me wonder if mom was really the one at the end of the day who wanted her grandkids close, wanted her own kids close, and she wasn't going to take no for an answer because she's getting old and heck, what does she have to lose at this point? She's going to make this attempt and remove someone that's becoming the block. I don't know. I mean, where Wendy plays into this other than she found out that this was in play. I don't know that she would be the one that would want to even order that sort of hit or something of that nature. How comparable do you think Wendy is in all this?
I don't know. I mean, you made a pretty compelling case for Donna being the ringleader there, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
like kind of going into it, I was always of the mindset that, you know, it's a stretch to think that it wasn't Wendy. Mm-hmm. You know, that this grandmother could be such a helicopter grandmother in the sense that, like you said, that she wants her kids and her grandkids, you know, at arm's length at all times. And she'll go to any lengths to make that happen, including killing her former son-in-law or having it arranged for him to be killed in order to make that happen. And, you know, but I don't know, like that's a part of it where, you know, they're bringing in the concept of, yes, Wendy tried to, you know, obviously go into a court and handle it through the proper channels with a removal petition to get the move down there, you know, which her lawyer came on and testified, look, the odds of that are slim and none. You know, it's just very difficult to be able to remove the kids from their father geographically, you know, and so, you know, they kind of build in that thing for Wendy that like she went into that knowingly, like, and Wendy's a lawyer, you know, and even if she's not a practicing as a family attorney or family law attorney, you know, I mean, anybody that's a lawyer that has any concept of family law knows it is a very difficult task to get a judge to allow you to remove your kids from the jurisdiction where the other parent lives.
Sure.
If the other parent is an active parent and for all intents and purposes is a good parent, it's just tough. Mm-hmm. So like, I think realistically, right. I think that she went into that knowing that it was most likely going to fail. And then you do get this testimony about this $1 million offer to pay Dan to allow the kids to move down there. And that had to have been coming from Donna. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that kind of goes right to your theory that maybe, in fact, Donna is the driving force behind this because, you know, but you've got two camps out there. You've got the people that are like, there's no way. You know, they definitely did this because Dan was driving Wendy batshit crazy, you know, with all the constant litigation, you know, but then you find out that Dan's filing stuff to stop Donna from seeing the kids based on the fact that she's talking trash about Dan. Yeah. You know, so it all kind of leads back to Donna maybe being a more compelling mastermind than Wendy, but I just don't know enough about how toxic that relationship between Wendy and Dan really was. I think it's like to get to the point, like litigation's litigation. And when you're talking about two lawyers, it's what they do for a living. Sure. So, you know, I'm sure that there's like neither one of them enjoys each other's company. I'm sure that they do everything in a vindictive sense. And that goes for Dan, too. Sure. Like, I don't think that Dan was an angel in terms of what was going on with respect to the divorce proceedings and the custody battles. I think that was a two-way street between him and Wendy. I think that they both were litigating the hell out of it.
Sure.
And, so does that in any way, shape, or form mean that Dan should have lost his life? God, no, of course not. But like, I don't know the depths of the hatred.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've had clients where I'm like, oh man, like this is like one step away from being like a Dateline episode type thing, like thoughts in my head.
Yeah.
I just don't know if this particular relationship between Wendy and Dan had reached that plateau.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, if it hadn't, then I agree with you. I think that Donna was, for all the reasons that you stated, was probably the one that orchestrated this whole thing. And then the question becomes, did Wendy know?
Did Wendy know? And I mean, there's interesting testimony, especially from her former boyfriend, of her literally throwing up at a restaurant after getting some news that he wasn't quite sure what the news was. I don't know. I mean, this mother, Donna, seems to have extreme narcissistic control over her whole family. And I would not at all be surprised if, as a child, that's your mom. You've been controlled your whole life. You've been beat down your whole life. If mom's going to do something, she's going to do something. Your opinion be damned. I mean, that's how narcissists work. And I think some of the scariest ones are, in fact, older mothers. There are no lengths sometimes as to what they will go to, however misguided and delusional those ideas may be. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are very apt to act in this sort of way if pushed in that sort of direction. I think that's what we ended up seeing here. It makes me wonder more about, how much Charlie was truly involved in this, or how much was he kind of roped into it by mom, and then trying to cover for mom, trying to do what's right within the dynamics of the family, but not get caught at the same time. I don't know. I think this woman is a terror to everyone that she's probably come in contact with through most of her life.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, I think that at the end of the day that you're probably right. I think that she's probably the driving force behind all of it. And I think that Charlie was probably in that position where he just isn't capable of saying no to his mother, and that she's giving him directives and she's saying, this is how we're going to handle this. And, Charlie, thinking he's a real bright, crafty guy, kind of gets into the role.
Yeah.
I want to, like, they're never going to catch us. I want to outwit these guys, even though it's all at the behest of his mother. He then takes on the role of, okay, like, I'm going to figure out the mechanics of it, because it's like, you had to know that Charlie had to be an active participant in order to get Katie involved, who's then getting her ex and his buddy involved as the hitman, because like Donna doesn't have those connections. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it probably starts off as a conversation where, Donna, like an in-person conversation, not a moronic over the phone or text conversation where, this is discussed. And she's like, we need this to happen. I need for my people to be near me.
Yeah.
And I need you to help me make it happen, Charlie. And Charlie takes it on. And, so I think in that sense, I mean, he's equally culpable, because at any point, a reasonable person would have said, no, Mom, I'm not going to help you kill your former son-in-law so that the grandkid, you know what I mean? He's just as culpable as she is. But, like you said, having that overbearing mother.
Yeah, there's no boundaries.
Lorded over you for the entirety of your life. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something to be said for that as well. Yeah. And just being incapable of saying no to that person, So, it's a twisted case, man, for certain. But yeah, I could see a world in which Wendy never gets charged. And frankly, if they put her on the stand again, then I'm going to feel pretty confident that they're not going after her.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.